Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Himanshu Khanapurkar. I am a third year resident in the Department of Anesthesiology. My moderator for today is Dr. Taskeen Kadri. She is a SR in the Department of Anesthesiology. And today's topic for tutorial is anesthesia machine. As all of you guys have been introduced to the concept of anesthesia and the scope and limitations of the field, as well as the various areas in which we operate, it is time to introduce you to the concept of anesthesia machine. So anesthesia machine, as and when you guys will do internship, you guys will, when you visit the OT and for your surgical postings and anesthesia postings, please do check out the anesthesia machine. There is one in each OT, and as we'll focus on various aspects of the machine in this tutorial today, please make it a point to go back and see how these things are used when we are anesthetizing patients in the OT. So the anesthesia machine nowadays, it is referred to as the anesthesia workstation. So anesthesia workstation because there are a lot of work, there are a lot of tasks that the machine can actually do. So ventilation, titration of anesthetic gases, monitoring, and many more components, as you will see, and many safety features. So the components include the electrical components, pneumatic system. In pneumatic system you have the high pressure, intermediate pressure, low pressure, and there is alternative oxygen source or alternative oxygen control. And then you have power failure and the backup that the machine provides, and the numerous safety features that have evolved as the machine has been used over so many years. So again, anesthesia workstation, it includes the electrical components, it includes the pneumatic system. The pneumatic system is the part that is most important for you guys to understand, where there is the high pressure system, intermediate pressure system, and low pressure system, along with the alternative oxygen control, and then the power failure, and again the safety features. So the anesthesia machine, the first time that a continuous flow anesthesia machine was used, it was by Dr. Henry Edmund Gaskin Boyle. He was a British anesthesiologist who recognized the need for an integrated machine uh, by which the various anesthetizing and life-saving gases can be administered in a controlled fashion, and which is convenient to use for the anesthesiologist as well as safe for the patient. So in 1917 he devised a machine of his own making, and that is how the traditional name that we have for the anesthesia machine, that is the Boyle's machine. Okay, so over the years from 1917 to present day, it is around a century now. So multiple modifications have taken place in these in the design and equipments, which have been focused to improve the safety as well as the usability of the anesthesia machine. So safety has always been a priority since the inception of the anesthesia machine. Safety is the reason that the machine came into existence in the first place, and as multiple anesthesiologists, various generations, they used the machine and realized shortcomings and suggested changes, which were then implemented, and the safety has improved drastically over the past, since the introduction of the machine. So time and technological advancements. Now, when it was introduced, there was no digital technology to help us integrate all the various gases that we were using to precisely calculate what is the percentage going and all. So as technological advancements have taken place, anesthesiologists have integrated all those technological advancements and strive to make the machine better. And in doing so, the Boyle's machine that was originally uh, described in 1917 has now evolved into what we called as the anesthesia workstation, because now it is no longer just a machine to deliver gases. It is a machine which can deliver gases, which can ventilate the patient, which can help us monitor each and every parameter, and hence improve the safety of the patient considerably. Now, anesthesia workstation, what is it? How do you define an anesthesia workstation? So, it is a complex electrical, mechanical, pneumatic component mismatch or integration, which is together it functions so well that the anesthesiologist has control over all aspects of the patient's ventilation and anesthesia level, along with the pressure flow. All components we can monitor, all components we can alter, so that very safe anesthesia is provided to the patient. So the anesthesia machine is a device which delivers a precisely known but variable gas mixture. Now, these include the anesthetizing gases as well as the life sustaining gases. Now, to break up this definition, it is a device which delivers a precisely known. So we want to know the exact proportion or percentage of a gas that is being delivered. So whether it is oxygen, whether it is nitrous, whether it is halothane, sevoflurane, whatever it is, we want to know precisely how much, what is the percentage that is being delivered to the patient. So precisely known but variable gas mixture. Variable gas mixture because we are not just using oxygen. We might use medical air, we might use nitrous oxide, we might use the inhalational agents. So we want to know each component. So a precisely known but variable gas mixture which includes the anesthetizing and life sustaining gases. So anesthetizing gases would include your nitrous oxide. It is going to include your inhalational agents like halothane, isoflurane, sevoflurane, desflurane, while the life sustaining gases are oxygen and air. Initially, carbon dioxide was also used, as you can see in this particular image, where a carbon dioxide cylinder is also attached. But as anesthesia progressed and multiple studies were done, they realized that carbon dioxide is not it is harmful to have the cylinder there. It used to be also used to drive the ventilator sometimes, but in some machines, but it was later decided it is unsafe to use carbon dioxide. So now this, what you can see on your screen is the what you can call as the Boyle's machine, which is the earlier version of the anesthesia workstation that we use nowadays. So this is a simple assembly. It starts with the cylinders. You have the oxygen cylinder, nitrous cylinder. Then from these cylinders, you have the cylinder pressure gauge. So you know exactly what is the amount of pressurized gas inside the cylinder, so as to know when to change the cylinders as we proceed with providing anesthesia to a patient. Then from these cylinder pressure gauges, these there will be a pressure reduction valve which will lead to the intermediate pressure system. The other components that you can see here are the valve control knobs. So these control knobs, they are used to determine the exact flow of these gases like oxygen and nitrous to the patient. So as you rotate these knobs, these flow meters will go up and down, and along with the graduations and the markings on the flow meters, we will come to know what is the flow rate for that particular gas. Then this the blood pressure gauge, it is an additional, it is a monitoring component which has been added to this particular machine. This component in the center is the vaporizer. So this is probably a halogen vaporizer attached to the back bar of the machine. It is just to support the flow meters as well as the vaporizer, and we can add another vaporizer here. Then this is the pressure relief valve. If the pressure inside the pipings and tubings of the anesthesia machine exceeds the set value, then this pressure relief valve will release the excess pressure so that the components are not damaged, as well as there is no pressure um, barometric trauma to the patient as well. This is the common gas outlet. So this is where all gases from the oxygen, nitrous, that go through the flow meters, go through the vaporizers, and they ultimately come out to the common gas outlet, where the precisely known and variable gas mixture is delivered from this point through a circuit to the patient. So the common gas outlet is where you would attach your circuit, and from where the ventilator system is also attached. This is about the basic machine. So this did not have much for monitoring except for the flow meters. Even the blood pressure gauge that you see here has been added later. This was purely to provide the precisely known variable gas mixture in a controlled fashion to the patient, and then the circuit will do the job from the common gas outlet forward. This is the modern anesthesia workstation. Now it looks nothing like the basic boils that you saw just now, but it does a lot more work and is extremely useful machine. It is basically a computer which continuously analyzes the patient parameters as well as the flow, airway pressures, everything, and gives a good graphical feedback to the anesthesiologist so as to diagnose any condition, to figure out about leakage, to make changes so that the uh, uh, proper anesthesia is provided to the patient. Now this, as you can see, that these machines have multiple screens. So the screens, there are screens for monitoring, there are screens to which display the waveforms. Now these include the ECG, these include the invasive blood pressure, end-tidal carbon dioxide, sevoflurane, halothane, isoflurane, desflurane, concentration, oxygen concentration, nitrous concentration, everything is displayed. These include the pressure and volume graphs. So these display the airway pressures as they rise and fall. They are plotted against time, so you can see the pressure and volume change as the machine or the anesthesiologist ventilates the patient, and we come to know the exact pressure that is being generated and the exact volume that is going in and out. If there is a leak in the delivery of gases somewhere, the waveform will show the abnormality and it is easier to diagnose. So we would just take one look at the waveforms and we would come to know that there is some leakage. These are the vaporizers. Now this yellow one is the sevoflurane vaporizer, this blue one is the desflurane vaporizer. These help to provide the appropriate amount of anesthetic vapors so as to provide anesthesia to the patient. This is where you would attach the circuit. So from here, it all the gases will be delivered to the patient, and this is the uh, CO2 absorber. So when we are using the closed circuit, the expired CO2 from the patient will be absorbed here so that there is no CO2 rebreathing. These machines also have cylinders. They are attached at the back of the machine, but the primary source of gases for these machines will be the central supply, that is the wall mounted supply. That These are the tubings that you see running throughout the hospital, which are provided in the OP as well, and the machines also have the cylinders as backup. Now this is the layout of the anesthesia machine, that right from the cylinders to the common gas outlet, all uh, the components as they are arranged, and the important subcomponents in all of these um, pressure systems. So we start from the cylinders. So these cylinders, this check valve the cylinder pressure gauge, and the pressure regulator. These are all part of the high pressure system. So these contain pressurized gases, um, and the exact pressure uh, helps us to know how much gas is remaining in the cylinder. So we have the pressure gauge, then we have the pressure regulator. Now this is at high pressure, as we'll see subsequently what are the pressures in the cylinders. These pressures need to be reduced to 45 pounds per square inch gauge, so that this part of the machine, that is called as the intermediate pressure system, so this can handle the gas flow without damaging the components and the other regulators and valves, everything. So this is where high pressure system ends. So the pressure regulators which reduce from high pressure to intermediate pressure. Then you can see this is the pipeline supply, nitrous supply and oxygen pipeline supply, and we have the pressure gauge here as well, and the one-way check valve. We are entering directly into the intermediate pressure system and going to the various other components which we will cover subsequently. So nitrous as well as oxygen pipeline supply, the pipeline pressure gauge, go to the fail-safe valve, and then we will be going towards the, what is this now, is the low pressure circuit. So low pressure circuit starts distal to the flow control valves, and you have the flow meters, you have the vaporizers, and the check valve, and we go all the way to the common gas outlet. So this is the basic layout that any anesthesia machine is built upon, and whatever modifications are done from this starting basic layout. So these are the minimum mandatory um, components which as the safety features like check valve, pressure gauge, pressure regulator, then the pipeline pressure gauge, oxygen supply failure alarm, flow control valves, the oxygen flush valve, all of these along with the flow meters, internal check valve, and the common gas outlet. So that is how gas flow occurs. So gas, suppose from oxygen gas flowing from the cylinder under high pressure, crosses this check valve, and the pressure gauge shows at how much pressure it is coming in. Then we go to the pressure regulator which decreases the pressure. We enter the intermediate pressure system, and from here we go to the second stage pressure regulator, which then goes to the oxygen flow meter, the flow control valve. From the flow control valve, the oxygen travels to the flow meter. From the flow meter, along with the nitrous or other gases, this gas flows through the calibrated vaporizers, and then ultimately through the exit check valve we go to the machine outlet, circuit, and patient. So what are the electrical components? We have the master switch. Like any device, there is a master switch, turn on and turn off. Then the power failure indicator. So this is a very important alarm or indicator. If there is failure of the power supply, the alarm starts. It is a high priority alarm. It rings continuously. It has audio as well as visual components, and the anesthesiologist cannot miss this alarm. So it is a high priority alarm. You cannot disable this alarm as well. Then when there is a power failure, we switch to reserve power. So reserve power, at least 30 minutes of reserve power is mandatory for any anesthesia workstation. All functions should be supported for at least 30 minutes. Now, the older machines, as the boils that you had seen in the previous slide, uh, every component had a separate battery. So if we had a multi-para monitor, it had a separate battery. If we had a electronic ventilator, it had a separate battery. So multiple components, multiple batteries, multiple alarms, and a lot of things to manage. So all of this, when it is integrated, everything has a single large battery, and all components of the anesthesia workstation can be powered by this uh, battery for around 30 minutes at least. And then we have outlets as well for additional monitors or additional functions that any particular case demands. Then it's coming to the pneumatic system. So as I have told you, there is high pressure, intermediate pressure, and low pressure systems. So high pressure system, it receives the gases from the cylinders at high variable pressures and reduces them to lower and more constant pressures. So different cylinders are going to be filled at different pressures, but we want the intermediate pressure system to be stable. So what high pressure system does, it receives the gases from these cylinders at the variable pressures and it reduces them to the lower and more constant pressures, so that the machine components remain safe and all alarms and all proportionating devices, they remain safe. So cylinder pressures of the commonly used cylinders, that is the type E oxygen cylinder, which contains 660 liters of oxygen and is pressurized at 1900 pounds per square inch, cause nitrous oxide type E cylinder, it contains 1590 liters of the gas, and it is pressurized at 745 pounds per square inch, cause air type E cylinder also contains around 625 liters, and similar to oxygen type E cylinder, it is also pressurized to 1900 pounds per square inch, cause. So from here, then these are the various sizes. So the type E is the most common size, and the type E or type F are the ones that you are going to see most commonly even in the wards where patients are being transferred, say from the ward to the ICU, or from the ICU to the CT scan room, or the MRI room, or from the ICU to OT, whatever transfer, when the patients are being transferred, see the cylinder type that is being used, and check the pressure. All cylinders have pressure gauge, so which helps us to know what is the remaining amount of gas inside of it, and that helps us to know how long the cylinder is going to last. So suppose we have to shift a patient from say our hospital to Nagar, so we should know exactly how many liters of oxygen we have. So we are supposed to check, we are supposed to know exactly how much we have, so that what flow rate we can provide for what duration, and how much distance we can cover, and what is our safety margin. So for the different cylinder sizes, we have the different dimensions, and the capacities differ from gas to gas. The high pressure system contains the hanger yoke assembly. So this is the hanger yoke assembly. This is present at the part where the cylinder is attached to the machine. Now this um, consists of index pins and gas inlet with reciprocal openings on the cylinder stem. So this is the body of the cylinder, which is color coded, and this is the cylinder head, this is the stem, and the stem will have index pins. It will have slots for index pins and the gas inlet. This is the pin index safety system. So now this is the body of the cylinder, this is the stem, this is the gas outlet, and these are the slots for pin index system. Now pin index system on the cylinder stem, these are holes at specific positions as mentioned here, like 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, and every gas cylinder gets these index pin holes at specific points, and based on that, suppose say oxygen pin index is 25 and nitrous oxide is 35. So what this means is oxygen cylinder stem will have a hole here at point number 2, and it will have a hole here at point number 5. So when you try to attach this particular cylinder to the oxygen cylinder yoke assembly. The holes correspond to these index pins and they fit perfectly such that the gas inlet then receives the gases from the cylinder. But suppose you try to attach a nitrous cylinder which is going to have a hole at number 3 and another at number 5, and you try to attach it to a oxygen yoke assembly which is going to have these pins at 2 and 5 respectively. So there is going to be a mismatch and you cannot attach the nitrous cylinder to the oxygen yoke assembly. So this is a safety feature in the high pressure system where we attach the cylinders to the respective yoke assembly so that nitrous oxide does not by mistake flow through the oxygen line and gets displayed as oxygen and delivered to the patient as oxygen even by mistake. So this pin index ensures that the correct cylinder is only attached to the yoke assembly. So the other components of the yoke assembly include the yoke handle bolt, yoke plug, this yoke handle which you rotate and tighten the grip around the cylinder stem, the cylinder wrench which is to open this cylinder valve. So we open the cylinder valve first, then connect the cylinder to the yoke assembly, tighten the yoke handle and form a good seal. Then from the gas inlet the gas will flow to the pressure gauge and the pressure reducing valve. So these are the pin index for the various gases. These are specific and these are universally followed. So the most common ones like oxygen is 2,5, nitrous oxide is 3,5, air is 1,5. Okay, then O2 with CO2 is 1,6, and if the percentage of CO2 is less, it is 2,6. Then Entonox, that is nitrous and oxygen, the pin index is 7. So this corresponds to the holes on the stem. Now cylinders are also color coded. So these are universally followed with few exceptions in some countries where the colors might be different. But for us it will be nitrous is light blue, air is black and white, and oxygen um, will be white. So these are the positions of the pin index system. Like for oxygen they are at 2 and 5, nitrous they are at 3 and 5, air 1 5, carbon dioxide 1 and 6. Entonox, the hole for the pin index is at number 7 position. So this is how a wrong cylinder cannot be attached. This is the cylinder body, cylinder head. This is the check valve, and now we are focusing on the gas outlet part. So from the cylinder head to, now this is the part of the machine where we are receiving the gases. It goes to the pressure gauge. So it is showing how much exact pressure is there inside the cylinder. So it is now showing around some 1600 pounds per square inch gauge. And then this is the pressure regulator. So this reduces the pressure. And then we go to part B where it is the intermediate pressure system where all pressures are around 50 to 55 pounds per square inch gauge. And then we go to the flow meters and other components. Now this is how a pressure indicator functions. So from the bottom part, the pressurized gas enters this hollow curved metal tube. As the pressurized gas enters in this tube tries to straighten due to the pressure of the gases. As this tip of this tube moves due to the straightening force, this assembly moves, which rotates this wheel, and the needle moves, and there is display of the pressure on the scale. So this is called as the Bourdon tube pressure gauge. So it is due to the flexible hollow metallic tube in which the pressurized gas is released, which leads to movement of the tip, which leads to movement of the needle, and the deflection shows the pressure inside the cylinder. So all the pressure gauges that you will see on the transport cylinders, on the cylinders inside OT as well, all of them will have this Borden tube type pressure gauge. We go to the pressure regulator, that is the pressure reducing valve. So after we have checked the pressure, we have attached the cylinder, we have checked the pressure, now we have to reduce the pressure. So we subject the higher pressure to a smaller area and then reduce it by uh, coupling it with a larger area. So since A2 is greater than A1, the pressure here, that is the regulated pressure, will be lower than the cylinder pressure. Because this area changes, so the force acting is spread out over a larger area and hence the pressure reduces. So now from whatever variable pressure cylinder was attached, now it has been reduced to a set pressure of say around 45 to 55 pounds per square inch burns. We move on to the intermediate pressure system. Now the intermediate pressure system has the central pipeline inlet connections, their pressure indicators, all the piping, gas power outlet, oxygen pressure failure devices, second stage pressure regulator, oxygen flush, and the flow control valves. Now all of these components we have seen in the diagram. So these are the connections. Now this is the pipeline wall outlet from where you will connect the pipeline to the specific inlet on the machine. So this is the central supply that I was talking about, which is also color coded. So the wall outlets are going to be color coded, the tubing is going to be color coded, and the inlet on the machine, this is the back of the machine that we are seeing, all of this is going to be color coded. So now this has a safety feature, that is the diameter index safety system. So the diameter index safety system, it utilizes two um, diameters. So if you see here that there is a inner circle and there is a outer circle, and in these various three gases connection ports, the diameter of this inner and outer circles are variable. So by mistake you cannot connect this blue tubing, which could be nitrous, to the green one, which could be oxygen, because the inner two diameters are different. Hence you won't be able to connect, hence the wrong gas is not going to go inside the machine through a wrong inlet. Once you have connected, you will see these pressure gauges. So these show these are the Borden tube type pressure gauges, which are showing the pressure inside the cylinders by uh, the concept explained as in the Borden type tube pressure gauge. So nitrous, air, and oxygen, all three are connected here. And in the modern machines, we have the electrical, we have the display. So the pressure will be displayed directly. Value is going to be displayed, and if it is not connected, it is going to show zero, and it will have an alarm as well. So the exact pressure is known continuously on the display itself, while the older machines have the Borden tube type pressure guns. So the piping is tested. It is supposed to withstand at least 4 times the pressure, that is up to at least 200 to 250 pounds per square inch gauge, uh, so that to enhance the durability, and it has filters as well so that it does not get blocked. Then we have the gas powered outlet, which goes to the ventilator as well as the jet ventilator. So when it goes to the ventilator, it helps power the ventilator and helps in mechanical ventilation of the patient, while when it goes to the jet ventilator, it can be used for high risk procedures like um, bronchoscopy and foreign body retrieval, etc. Then there is the oxygen pressure failure devices. Now there are two types of pressure failure devices. One is the proportional um, reduction valve, and one is the shut off valve. So as the oxygen pressure decreases and the pressure gauges sense a decrease in the oxygen pressure, the proportional valve proportionally decreases the pressure of the other gases as well. So if oxygen pressure is decreased, the nitrous pressure is also going to be decreased, and hence the patient will not get a gas mixture in which nitrous is excess than what the anesthesiologist intends to provide, and hence a hypoxic mixture is not provided. And if the oxygen pressure falls to a very critical value, then there is a shut off mechanism in which the machine closes the inlets of nitrous air and other gases, so that even by mistake it should not happen that the patient gets a completely hypoxic mixture in which there is almost 100% nitrous and other inhalational and other gases, so as to prevent hypoxic mixture administration. Then there is the second stage pressure regulator. It is essential to minimize whatever fluctuations have crept in from the high pressure regulator. If at all any pressure fluctuations have come in, this is going to regulate this and stabilize the pressure. Also, if there is in the older machines, the back pressure from the patient would cause fluctuations. So the second stage pressure regulator minimizes or eliminates even those fluctuations. We move to the oxygen flush. Oxygen flush is the emergency ventilation feature that is provided in all machines. Oxygen flush is basically it consists of a button on the machine. It is a large button, easily identifiable. It has raised margins, so even if we are not looking at the machine, we can press the button by just feeling the ridge, and as we press the oxygen flush button directly from the intermediate pressure system, high flow oxygen is provided at the common gas outlet. So if there is any leak in the intermediate and low pressure system and there is problem in ventilating the patient, or we need high flow of oxygen um, to ventilate the patient in an emergency, the oxygen flush can be used as a rescue ventilation mechanism, which provides 35 to 75 liter per minute of flow as soon as we press down the button. Now, this button, when we release it, goes back to the original off position on its own, so it helps to conserve the gases and protects the patient from barotrauma in case the ventilation is now normally being provided. So when we press the button, the circuit is completed and we get the high flow oxygen to the breathing system. But when it is released, the circuit is closed, and now the oxygen comes through the normal route, that is from the common gas outlet. So we have the intermediate pressure system, we have flow control valves. These are the last component of the intermediate pressure system. This is where the flow will be controlled. Now from the intermediate pressure system, we are going to enter the low pressure system. This adjustment of the knobs reduces the pressure, reduces the flow, and we can titrate the flow as required of the various gases, so that a known mixture is provided at the common gas outlet. So as you can see, these are the three flow control valves, and this is a flow meter that is of a common type. So all three gases combined are being shown together additive in this flow meter. So we have a flow of 1 liter for uh, air, 1 liter for nitrous, and 2 liter for oxygen. And now this is showing a flow of 4. So this is the total flow being delivered to the patient, and this is the individual flow meter setting. These this shows the internal working of the entire assembly of the flow control valves, which are down here, and these are the flow meters that you see go up and down. So these flow control valves are located here. As you rotate them, uh, fixed flow of gas is allowed to enter the flow meters from below, and this bobbin is lifted up to the uh, as much as we have rotated the flow control valve, so that the known flow of gas is achieved. So now this is a single flow tube assembly. From 0 to up to 15 is displayed on a single flow meter tube, while this for nitrous is a dual flow meter assembly. So from here you have point 0.1, point 0.2 going up to 1 liter, and then 1, 2, 3 going up to 10 liters on another flow meter tube. This helps to precisely control the gas flow even in lower flows. So suppose you want to give zero point 0.3 liter per minute nitrous, you can provide here, which is difficult to assess in a single flow tube assembly, and easier to do in a dual flow tube assembly. For oxygen and nitrous, since we want to provide precise amount of gases, so dual flow tube assembly is preferred. Now these air, nitrous, oxygen, all three combine and go to the common gas outlet. Now this gas mixture will first go to the vaporizer. From the vaporizer, it will go to the common gas outlet. Notice that the oxygen flow meter is the last to join this mixture. So air has entered here, nitrous has entered here, but oxygen is going to join last. The significance of which will be explained in some time. We start with the low pressure system. It includes the flow meters, hypoxia prevention safety devices, unidirectional valves, pressure relief devices, the piping, and the common gas outlet. So the flow meters are what you see even when you go to wards. Any time you will see that there will be oxygen beds with, they will have flow meters attached to the wall outlets, and they will have a ball like this inside the flow meter. So these are the various types of flow meter bobbins. Bobbins are the part of flow meters that float inside the flow meter, and they help you identify exactly how much is the flow. So if there is a ball type of bobbin, then it is to be read at the center of the ball. If it is a tapered kind, then it is to be read at the top. So these various types of flow meters, the instructions are provided in the manuals as to where exactly you are supposed to read the value of the flow meter. Suppose at this lower limit, the it is at 1 liter per minute, and this is at 2 liter per minute. So we have to read it as 2 liter per minute, because that is how this particular design of flow meter is to be read. As the commonest is the ball type of bobbin flow meter, so it is to be read in the center. This is the one you are going to encounter commonly in the walls. So the flow meter sequence that I was talking about, where oxygen enters last into the common gas mixture. The reason behind it is, if oxygen enters prior to other gases, and if there is a leak in the flow meters of the other gases, there is a chance of part of the oxygen getting leaked from that particular leak source, and lesser amount of oxygen will be provided to the patient. Now keep in mind that you have already determined what is the flow, so this leak might go undiagnosed, and lower amount of oxygen will be provided to the patient, while the other gases will be in excess. So In all modern anesthesia machines, oxygen is the last gas, uh, like it is placed most distally, so that even if there is leak in the nitrous and air flow meters, patient is definitely going to get oxygen more than the other gases, so a hypoxic mixture is avoided at all cost. There is something called as the hypoxic guard. Now these are the flow meters of oxygen and nitrous. When you rotate and start the flow of oxygen, the uh, these linked chains also rotate. Now what this link does, it is a 14s to 29 link proportioning system. It is the link 25 system, it is the proprietary name. So it is designed such that minimum 25% of oxygen is delivered at all times when these two gases are used. Suppose you have first started with 50% of oxygen and nitrous, and by mistake somebody reduces the oxygen flow. What this does is, when the oxygen flow meter is reduced even by mistake at 25% flow meter setting, even nitrous will start reducing, and the total flow is going to reduce such that at least 25% oxygen is going to be provided, so that a hypoxic mixture is not provided to the patient. As in atmosphere we have 21% oxygen, so for safety the minimum is set at 25%. So because of this linkage, nitrous 100% can never be provided in modern anesthesia machines, because this linkage ensures that at least 25% is always oxygen. Then you have the unidirectional check valve, which it is present in between the vaporizers and the common gas outlet. So whatever pressure changes are happening in the breathing systems, that is the circuits and the patient airway, is not transmitted to the vaporizer, and as it can change the output of the vaporizer as well as the flow meters. Then you have the pressure relief device. So if there is excessive pressure inside of the intermediate or low pressure system, so this excessive pressure is released, so that the machine is protected and all the components are protected from high pressure and its effects. Then you have the common gas outlet. In anesthesia, 15 millimeter female and 22 millimeter male coaxial connector is the standard. So all connections related to the breathing circuit and the common gas outlet are of the same size. So multiple all types of circuits can be connected to the common gas outlet, and gases as well as vapors can be delivered from the machine to the patient. Now, in case of power failure, as I have already told, that at least 30 minutes life is mandatory, so that all components of the anesthesia machine keep functioning for at least that period of time. As since everything is integrated, a failure of the anesthesia workstation can lead to a critical failure of providing anesthesia and ventilation. So this is a mandatory safety feature which gives everyone time, the anesthesiologist as well as the hospital management, to ensure that electricity power supply is restored in at least we have a 30-minute safety period. Then anesthesia machine, now it is such a complex machine with so many components and uh, so many uh, parts that could malfunction. So the anesthesia machine is to be checked each and every working day prior to taking the first case, and a short checklist is there to check the machine after every patient. So prior to every new case, we check the machine, we check the all the basic components, and beginning of the day the entire machine A to Z is checked, all components are checked, so that no unexpected failures occur, and if there are any deficiencies we can correct them prior to taking the patient in for providing anesthesia. So what are all the safety features that we have discussed so far? These include the non-interchangeable diameter index safety system, which is there in the intermediate pressure system. That is how we connect the wall outlet to the machine. So that is in the intermediate pressure system, you have the diameter index safety system. You have pressure gauges, you have filters, and you have check valves. Then in the high pressure system, you have the pin index safety system, where you cannot attach the wrong cylinder to the wrong yoke assembly. And we have the pressure gauges, filters, as well as the check valves there as well. We have the low oxygen pressure alarm, we have the proportionating device, we have the shut off device, we have the oxygen and the nitrous ratio controller, that is the hypoxic guard, that is the link 25 chain that we had seen. Then the oxygen flow meter downstream to the other gases, that is the flow meter of oxygen is the last to join the mixture of the gases. We have the oxygen concentration monitor and alarm, oxygen flush, backup battery, that is 30 minutes, and the others, that is capnography, anesthetic gas measurement, breathing circuit pressure, volume, and the respective alarms, pulse oximetry, blood pressure, ECG, and other monitoring as an what when it is required for the different types of cases. So all this helps to monitor the patient and the ventilation parameters. It is also a part of the safety features, because as we monitor, we come to know if there are any uh, problems that are leading to these changes in, say, the patient vitals or ventilation changes, and the anesthesiologist can act accordingly and amend whatever is going wrong, find the fault and correct it. Thank you.